Welcome to the PinkpillRx podcast, hosted by Katie and Jay Fillmore, where we navigate complex and thought-provoking topics surrounding women with a focus on education. For shorter form content, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at Caters88 or PinkpillRx.
That's KATORS88.
If you enjoy this podcast, please give us a follow and maybe a nice review. Today, we are excited to have Shanna Pearson here with us. Shanna is the founder and president of Expert ADHD Coaching, the largest ADHD coaching program of its kind in the world, providing one-on-one action-based coaching for adults with ADHD seeking personal, professional, and financial success. With over 26 years of experience, she has designed and led focus and goal achievement programs for executives and directors at Fortune 500 companies and world-class institutions, and has helped tens of thousands of adults transform their lives through her results-driven, brain-based approach. In addition to degrees in psychology and education, Shanna's credentials include a lifetime spent mastering her own ADHD. She's been featured on NPR, Fox, NBC, Global TV, CTV, and more. Debilitating ADHD sent Shanna on a downward spiral for over 30 years before she had the great fortune of a psychiatrist overhearing her and getting her diagnosed. Shanna has a unique vantage point as a woman who struggled with ADHD without realizing it for most of her life, a champion who overcame it, and a coach with decades of experience and thousands of success stories. Shanna's upcoming book, Invisible ADHD, which comes out September 9th, is a groundbreaking, results-driven approach to managing ADHD with over 100 proven tools uniquely tailored for the remarkable ADHD brain, including never-before-published strategies and solutions that have transformed thousands of lives for over 2 decades. Shanna, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here. Ready to have some fun.
Yeah, we're excited
Me
too. So, in the intro, we read a little bit about it, but I want to hear more about your personal journey with ADHD before we jump into too many questions, because I want to hear where you're coming from and just your background and stuff with this journey that has obviously been a long one for you.
That's a great question. The personal journey before I knew I had ADHD was honestly quite painful and very lonely and frustrating. I was a super silent kid. I think today they call it selective mutism. I was a child that never spoke outside of my house, outside of where my family. And I was so painfully shy. I felt like I was always afraid of being seen or found out or something as like a 5 and 6 year olds. And so it was always, this experience of never knowing, never cluing in to what's going on around me. That's how it always felt. And when I was at home with the people that, I knew most of all and I knew cared about me, it was like, that's where I released a lot of energy and I was talking a lot, but I never felt, I guess, on the same wavelength as anyone. Not my family, no one in my school, just no one. I was just always off frequency. That's how it felt as a child. And then I think that kind of continued through, middle school and then high school. But, you find your people, right. You find your friends. And as the schools get bigger and, you find more of them. But it always just felt like I was a little bit on the outside, like the odd one out. And everything was really, really hard. School was always very hard. And, I developed a great work ethic, I think, because I worked all the time and I could never get better than a B, for school grades. And when it came to jobs, it was really hard for me to stay in jobs. It was easy for me to get jobs, but hard to stay in the job. And it was easy for me to get into relationships, but it was hard to stay in relationships. And it was just a lot of disappointment and a lot of just so tumultuous, and some really, hard, bad things happened too. But I feel like it was all just this nonstop whirlwind of trying, but not ever getting anywhere.
I can resonate with so much of that with my own journey. I mean, I definitely felt that way. When you say hard to stay in jobs or hard to, specifically jobs, relationships too, but specifically jobs, was it like a performance thing, or was it like, did you get bored easily, or what happened there?
It was both.
Yeah.
It was, honestly, I don't want to just say, oh yeah, I got bored, so I left. Like a couple times I got fired once for a total ADHD moment where I was running this fundraising program, and this was a really good job in those days. It was still nonprofit, so it didn't like pay a lot, but it was like I was like kind of up in the fundraising department, and they were telling everyone that they had to, that day we had to do a real push and everyone has to stay really late. And I was in charge of the whole department. Everyone has to stay really late to do, the calls where we were, fundraising for a specific, it was like a day, like an awareness day, right? Mm-hmm. And we were sitting in a staff meeting. There's 30 people. I'm in charge of all of them. And the executive director made this announcement. And I literally was like, oh, really?
It's supposed to be the inside voice, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be the inside voice. It came right out, and it was like, you know how it is. It's the no filter.
Yeah.
And the next day I got fired. And so that was like a very, like that to me was like a moment where I was like so clued into what I had finally clued into what I, like an action that led directly to a result I didn't want. And how did I not have any filter? Like I was not a child at this point. I had like a real job and everything, but I would say most of the time I needed to leave jobs because I was incredibly bored and I just wanted to expand and I wanted to like meet new people and do new things. And I felt like there was always more. But then, this other time I just got fired because I was really dumb and made, silly remarks. So I would say, so it's a mix, but mostly boredom, but not all.
Yeah, I've noticed in our lives that it's like there's an expiration date on certain things, like it's like, and I joke that it's like a 4-year expiration date, and then we get a new education on something, or whatever.
And then we get
we just it's like every it's like
that's a good way to put it.
And you start collecting different, professions or experiences or education. I mean, he's going back to school in the fall, and this is going to be like his third career. And,
no way. Yeah. Where are you going? Can I ask? What are you going back to school for?
Yeah. So, my first job is I was a high school teacher for 9 years. I taught high school math.
Nice.
And then I started getting, I started losing it. I told Kate, I said, it's coming. Like, I got a couple years left or something like that. And then I pivoted into real estate, and I learned like how to do plumbing and electrical and windows and flip houses and things like that. And now they're very unrelated. And now I'm going for a master's in theology, which is kind of a lifelong thing I've wanted to do, but haven't been able to do. And whether I teach with it or do something else with it, I'm excited just, for the journey of it and learn something new and meet new people and everything. Kind of like what you're saying, there's more.
You know what? I feel like I feel like our generation may be like kind of missed it a little bit, but for the next generation, I think we should really, I think you're an amazing role model. And I think we should really be kind of teaching the next generation, like it's never about what do I want to do or who do I want to be when I grow up. It should be like, what are the 6 things that I want to be when I grow up in terms of a career? Like we should really expand the number instead of thinking that there's like one thing. We should like, if we think that there's going to be 5 or 6, what do you want those to be? I feel like we'd be so much more free. The generations would be like kids would be so much more free to know that they get to explore, like teaching to real estate to theology. Like that's beautiful. Like that's a human experience, in terms of like everythingness. That's just my opinion.
It feels really good. Thank you very much. Very, very validating.
No, that is very validating because I do feel like a lot of people do look at that and they, that looks aimless or that looks like there's judgment and shame.
Why can't he just stick in one thing?
Exactly.
Why can't he just make a decision?
Yes, exactly. And I've always said like to expect kids to know what they want to do for the rest of their lives at 18, Like, come on, you're a baby. You don't
Oh my gosh.
know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And if you think of, I think the idea of having them pick 6 or some other number more than 1 is great because it gives them this kind of implicit discretion to move on from one thing to something else, and that you don't have to just pick one thing and stay in it forever and ever like the model used to be. And I think that, maybe the third thing they want to do, they don't even know about yet because they're 18. They don't know that job or profession or concentration even exists yet, but at least they have the mindset of, I don't have to stick with this one thing. So if you discover something new, then you can pivot into that and not feel like you're aimless or a disappointment or something behind or something like that.
100%. I always tell my kids, because I have 2 kids, and one seems to be quite sure about what she wants to do, even though it changes every year. And the other one has no idea. And my line is, not until I was in my 30s did I even imagine such a thing as ADHD coaching. Like, what the heck is that? That did not exist. It didn't even exist. I hadn't even heard of it or thought of it, or it was like not even a blip in my radar. So who cares? Yeah. We don't need to know.
Yeah.
How did it come up on your radar? Like, how did you go from not diagnosed to, I'm diagnosed to, now I'm going to be a coach?
It happened so naturally. It was almost like the universe, if you believe in like any kind of, which I guess if you're studying theology, you probably do. Like it was so bizarre. It was, I only worked nonprofit. I was like a nonprofit, like constant, like the revolving door of different nonprofits because I loved making a difference. And there was no money in it, but I didn't care. So at a nonprofit, I was hired to run a health and wellness coaching program for 2,000. This is so bizarre. It was something that was funded for 2,000 career counselors across the province of Ontario.
Wow.
Okay, super specific, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there was like a grant that was given to this organization to create this health coaching program for these people. And they hired me to run it. And I don't know anything about health or wellness. Like that is not I never studied anything about this, nutrition or health or fitness or anything. But I somehow managed, because I had a lot of experience like leading kids and, doing like kinesthetic learning things. And I used to like lead backpacking trips in the wilderness for teenagers and such. I was able to convince these people that I can take people from point A to point B and have them have fun no matter what and achieve what they want to achieve. Because it's something that I used to do with like our teens and the kids back in the day. So they hired me, and this health and wellness coaching program was killing it. Like they had every single participant who they wanted to participate, all 2,000 people were in it. They didn't have anybody quit. Everybody was loving it because I created teams and competitions, and I made it so that this is like super fun, and why would anybody not want to do it? And then I made like these like goals and, how do we get people to go from 0 to like, 10 minutes of exercise, and 20, then 30, then, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was just really awesome. That was the career part. That same year, my life completely undid. And the undoing led to the diagnosis. Like that was a whole, which we're not going to get into today, but it was like a whole thing. And that was the same year I was diagnosed with ADHD. And so when I was diagnosed, I was just like, first of all, I was blown away because it made so much sense.
Right.
It was just like, because at first it was a misdiagnosis of depression, which I'm sure, like, classic. It's like, I feel like so classic. But when it came out as ADHD, it just like, everything just like opened up. And so I learned everything possible. And I spoke to as many doctors as possible. And I was like interviewing people and learning and reading and just like so fascinated. Like you get like super hyper focused when you're interested in what you're doing. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't stop. It was like 20 hours a day, just like diving in and just nonstop. And then I'm just like, I started, doing stuff for myself, obviously. And then these things started working. Like I was able to like manage my reactions better and my mood and my impulsivity and my overwhelm, and everything started trickling like slowly getting better and easier. And that was, because I had been doing this coaching program for the health and wellness thing, I kind of, it just like dawned on me at the very end where we were doing the award ceremonies for the winning teams, and it was like a big thing and everyone had to travel to it, and I was on stage giving out the awards, and I just had this knowing of I want to be doing this, like these types of successes that those people had reached. I want to be doing this work for my people, and my people were like ADHDers. Like, I can totally do this. I can get people, into, a more, whatever kind of life they want in terms of more calm or focused, or, just able to channel their energy into where they want to be and to how they want to feel. Because it's not just about what we're doing, it's also about like how we're feeling. And so that was when it kind of just like hit me. And so I slowly started doing it, like one client and then like 2 clients, and then it just like kind of blew up
from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is an awesome story.
How organic.
Exactly.
Super organic. I didn't go to coach training school at that point, I did eventually, but I had it wasn't like a lot of people, they want to go into something and they think they need to get all of these like all of the letters and the education, and I have to take this course and the certification, and I totally see you guys looking at each other exactly like this, but you don't. You don't. I don't, in some places, like obviously if you're going to be a neurologist, okay. But, in some cases, if you know that you're talented at something and you're going to help people, you can start doing it and get all of the things you need to get. You can start doing it first.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I have grown out of this, but most of my life I've looked around for like permission that I'm qualified, right? Right. That I'm qualified to even talk about like pink pill or feminism stuff, right? Like, I mean, I'm not like I don't have a degree in this. I'm not, but
podcasting degree.
Something, yes. No, I mean, like I don't have this stuff. And so I resonate with that. That's really cool. Yeah.
Well, like Katie, what's something that you're not? Can I ask you, like, is it okay if I ask you something?
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. So what's something that you're not doing that you feel like you just need to be a bit more qualified to be able to do? Is there anything?
Well, there's something I'm attempting to do that I feel like I'm not qualified to do. I'm working on a book right now. And
that's a huge undertaking.
Yes, it is. And I have a literary agent, and I just like submitted my chapters for her to review because we're going to go in submission in the fall, like to publishers and stuff. I'm sure of course you just did a book.
I'm like, don't do it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So, but I definitely feel like dealing with major imposter syndrome of like, because again, with these topics and stuff, it's not like I have a formal education with this. This is all self-research. This is all, that kind of thing. And so it's difficult for me to, I think, embody like that I could do this.
Right. Well, you are doing it.
Yes. No, I guess that's true. I am doing it.
But I am
like really pushing forward. I am really digging in. With all that I have.
Good. So you've read the book, right? Or you've started reading my book?
Yes.
Okay. So there's like this, so I'm just going to mention it, but in terms of, I don't know if you've gotten there yet, but facts are friendly.
No, I've not gotten there yet.
Okay,
or at least that's not ringing a bell yet. So
I'm going to tease it. And that's where you need to go into that chapter, because you already are basically expressing who you are and communicating amazing things and helping people just with this podcast. Forget about everything else that you do. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's a fact. It's a fact. Like, you have reviews.
Yeah.
You have people who comment on, awesomeness. You have that. Nobody's making that up. Nobody's blowing smoke, and no one's just like, making you do like affirmations in the mirror. You have that. You've done that fact.
Wow. Yeah. Hearing it from somebody else is different than just, seeing it myself, I think.
Yeah. Well, because when we see it, we're just like, yeah, whatever. That was just, that happened just because of that. No, it is a fact. And your brain, especially when you have ADHD, and you both probably experience this, your brain negates a lot. Mm-hmm. It negates a lot of the good stuff, but it's honestly impossible I feel like facts supersede emotion, and they're the only thing that supersede emotion, because you cannot deny that 2 + 2 is 4, even if you don't feel like it is.
Yeah.
Like I don't want 2 + 2 to be 4. And who told you that anyway? But 2 + 2 is 4. It's a fact. The fact is you're doing all of this work. The fact is you're getting these comments. The fact is that you're making a difference. The fact is that's you.
See, I'm getting like free coaching.
Own
right
it,
now.
girl.
That's amazing.
I hope you're taking this to heart.
Yes,
it seems
no.
like
Thank you.
pumped up.
Thank you for saying that. I do appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, well,
and it means
it's
a
just
lot.
the truth. Yeah, it's the truth.
Right?
You just have to know it. It's facts. Facts are friendly.
Well, I'm gonna skim
important.
to that part and
go.
Read it.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
I want you to send me a picture of your list.
Okay. Because it's gonna
your
say
facts are friendly list.
Oh, my facts are friendly. I'll see.
Yeah.
I understand.
I
I want to see.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I'll have to show you. You know what? I'm awful. I didn't share it with him. I kept it all to myself.
It's okay. You're going to share
I need
it.
to share it with you.
Jay, the stuff in the book is also for men.
Yeah.
great.
There is one chapter in this book, I think it's chapter 5, where we talk about, estrogen.
Yeah.
That's the only chapter that's very women specific. They wanted me to write this for women. So it's written for women. So there's a lot of women.
Yeah.
But the fact is that the tools in this book are the tools that we use in our coaching program for men. And 50% of our clients are men.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah, these tools are proven with thousands of men.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm going right. Facts are friends or friendly.
Facts are friendly.
Yes,
facts
are friendly.
Yeah.
So I should know this, but is this what number book is this for you?
This is my only book.
This is your
I've
only
never
book.
written a book.
Okay.
I did not intend to write a book. They came to me.
Okay, so I was going to ask how this book came about then.
Yeah,
Someone came knocking on your door, huh?
Someone came knocking at my door. It was an editor at large for Macmillan. So I said yes because of one reason only. My whole history is a nonprofit. Most of my life I had zero money, and I was always like scraping things together, always. Like I always had to figure out how to pay for stuff, and always had to figure out how to live on the very, very cheap. And I have a coaching program, and my coaching program is not inexpensive. And I can't do anything about it because we have to pay our coaches, and they deserve to be paid because they're amazing. And they're the ones who allow me to help more people, because I can't help unless I did a group thing. And I really don't think it's as effective as one-on-one, because one-on-one is where like the magic really happens. Mm-hmm. And there's like background costs and stuff. So I can't control our rates, even though like we haven't touched them since way before COVID. I do everything possible. And yet it breaks my heart, the amount of people that they come in and they have an intro call, and then, we're telling them like, well, if you want to do this, it's great. Here's the rate. And people get upset and angry. And some people are like, oh my God, that's so inexpensive. Like, oh, you guys are amazing and so reasonable. But other people, a lot more people are like, I can't afford that. I'm still trying to pay my rent, or that's like a car payment, or, it's just like, it honestly breaks my heart. So like I'm sitting in the background and I'm like the business owner, but I can't do anything because we need to stay in business. And so when they came to me with this book, it was like the universe again saying, here's your way to give everything away to everybody. And like, what is a book? Like $25,
Yeah.
Here you go. Take it. These are amazing tools. I've got like over 100 tools in this book. I held nothing back. Like this wasn't like if I only give them 5 tools, I'll be able to write another book and we can make money on. Like it wasn't anything like that. I put like 100 things in this book, and I just want everyone who wants it, just have it, take it and use it. Please, like implement one of these tools, just one, and your life will actually get easier, like 100%. And so that's why that's why the book happened. It was my way of being able to give it to people without a price tag, like one-on-one coaching.
Price tag. Yeah.
So I had no idea it was going to take 3 years of my life. I had no idea how much intensity it is. Because, I feel like my son's whole middle school career was like me writing this book. Like, this is what he's going to remember of his childhood. Like,
that's really beautiful. Well, not that part. Sorry, not that part. Not that that hero is going to remember this entire childhood. I'm saying it's beautiful that you want to give those tools and that you're not holding, like you're not. It's the opposite of gatekeeping. You're just like opening the gates and here's all the information.
I just wrote it all down.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
That's what I did.
Because you could, like you even indicated, you can give away some of the tools that you used in coaching, and then you can make more money later if you get people with a little appetizer and things like that.
Of course.
And
that's like a marketing tool.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just speaks a lot that your end game is not making money. Your end game is to help as many people as possible. And I hope that that's evident to our listeners. And I know it's evident to me hearing that. That says a lot about you as a person. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Thanks. Yeah, it was, that was definitely the intention, and I just really wanted to do it. I really just wanted to put everything in. Like, there's no sequel to the book. I just want to help everybody, and I don't want to be that person who can only help people who can afford it. Ever. I'm never going to be that person. So this is my commitment. It was the book.
That's awesome. Wow. Yeah. So in the vein of helping people, I have a couple questions around ADHD and women.
Yeah.
That maybe you could help us out with. Why do you think so many women are reaching middle age or later without knowing that they had ADHD?
Oh, because people who are reaching middle age now were born in the 70s and 80s. Mm-hmm. And what are you an 80s kid?
I am an 80s baby, and I was a misdiagnosed. I was misdiagnosed. Straight up, I was misdiagnosed. But yes, it was missed. It was a missed diagnosis too.
Totally missed, because back in the day they didn't know anything. Like it's the same. Like, I was born in the 70s, and it's just, they had no clue. Back then, it was a boy problem, and it was all about hyperactivity and restlessness and the most annoying boys in class who would not be quiet and were driving their teachers insane. Those were like the problem kids. Mm-hmm. And quote unquote, and they're not problem kids at all, but they were to their teachers because they quote unquote couldn't sit still. And that's what they knew about ADHD. And so you have ADHD, but you probably were not, I'm guessing, but I'm guessing you probably weren't that kid that just like drove everyone crazy in school.
No, I was very anxious to please.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that if I got bad grades, my teacher is going to think I'm an idiot. And that was like horrifying to me. Like, and that's like why I worked so hard, is because I just couldn't stand that thought that they would see that.
Which is basically, Katie, that's basically the exact opposite of a troublemaker.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, you were trying so hard to stay out of trouble, and you were trying so hard to make everything okay, and you were trying so hard to do well, and you were probably, with your anxiety, like ruminating nonstop about how you can fix things and how you can do things better.
Absolutely.
Nonstop. And I just got goosebumps, because like, that is like it. Your experience at that time is so typical, and it sucks because you were an anxious kid, and you didn't need to be, and you didn't even know what was going on with you. The reason that we all got missed is because they didn't know anything back then about girls and how ADHD presents itself in females. They didn't know. But now, you know what? Honestly, a lot of doctors still don't know.
Yeah, it was very hard to get a diagnosis for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were misdiagnosed, were you misdiagnosed with, what were you?
Depression, anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then given SSRIs, and nothing ever worked. And
nothing worked.
Then
Did it make you more depressed?
Yep. And then I was treatment-resistant depression. And and so I ended up getting diagnosed with ADHD. And then a couple years later got diagnosed with autism. So surprise.
Right. AUDHD, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
So it's, what, we didn't find out, and nobody, like most of your listeners too, who are in, born in the 70s or 80s, or even sometimes in the 90s, they just didn't catch on that a little girl sitting silently in class, like freaking out internally, that could very well be ADHD.
What are clues of women our age now, older women now, that would, I shouldn't say older women, that's not really what I meant, but older than elementary school, like what would be clues now that they would have ADHD that they should, maybe pay attention to?
So I think this is a really, really important question, because let's say you're not feeling great and, your mood is kind of up and down and you want to go and you're worried a lot about random things and you feel a little bit down about your life, and you'll go to, you might tell your doctor, right? And then your doctor they'll give you this assessment in their office. Have you ever gotten these assessments? It's like, they'll give it to you on a clipboard and it's like you have to say like, do I feel like this? Do I feel like that? And based on your score, they'll diagnose you. They'll assess you with something, right? Mm-hmm. So the ones that they give women are usually an anxiety screening, the GAD-7, mm-hmm. and a depression screening, the PHQ-9. Those are the most common ones in practically every physician's office. 85% of what's on those self-assessments are ADHD symptoms for women.
Whoa.
85%. And I would like read it. It's like literally restlessness, difficulty sitting still, worrying nonstop. I'm feeling bad about your life, poor appetite or overeating. Like who doesn't fall into that? Trouble sleeping, like all of these ADHD symptoms are on those two assessments. So women who have ADHD, if their doctor doesn't know about ADHD, will get misdiagnosed with anxiety or depression or both. And so you need to know that I would say like the things to look for that are not on those assessments that are totally only about ADHD. Yeah. There's something else I want to say about the ADHD assessment, but mm-hmm. beyond that, if you can relate to the feeling of severe overwhelm to the point where it almost feels like most of your life, you feel like you're a deer caught in headlights. If you can relate to that, and it's been like that for most of your life, and it's been like that in different situations, not just at school, not just at work, but also at home, that is a very, very, very strong sign. So in the book, I say overwhelmed all the time could be like the real phrase for what ADHD is. It's like the catchphrase, overwhelmed all the time, just like nonstop. And if you think about a lot of the ADHD symptoms like disorganization and poor time management, procrastination, all of those things are a result of severe overwhelm. And so I think like overwhelm is like the source. And so it's not just about, restlessness and I don't feel good about myself and I'm disorganized. The ADHD component is the severe overwhelm, but that is not on the ADHD self-assessment that you'll get at your doctor's office. Because the doctor's office self-assessment, and honestly, Katie, I swear this is why it was hard for you to get diagnosed and why it was hard for me too, and practically every woman out there. The ADHD diagnosis that they'll give you at the doctor's office, the screening tool, is very much about executive functioning and productivity. I have a hard time following through on things. I have a hard time finishing what I start. I have a hard time, staying still. I have a hard time, just doing tasks and I have many, many goals. Like it's all over the place, and it's more about executive function versus the emotional experience of ADHD and overwhelm, which is really what women live with.
It's making me a little angry inside because that needs to be fixed. That's not okay.
Well, that's why we're talking about it. Yeah. I feel like oh my gosh, this is why we're talking about it. Like, this is what we need to talk about, because millions of women are being misdiagnosed, mismedicated, just like you, just like me, just like probably half your listeners out there or maybe more. And there's a very clear reason for it. And it's fixable, So that's it. So like one of the things that I love talking about is exactly this. It's like everybody needs to know about this. And the more doctors that understand that ADHD for women is really incredibly severe, almost paralyzing overwhelm, the better we'll be. Like the more people will be able to take care of us, because it's, it is manageable. This is not a lifelong sentence in any bad way once you know what's going on.
Yeah, it was amazing to me once I knew what was going on and I could like name it. And all of a sudden this became less of a character flaw and more of this is like a clinical thing that is happening that like has science behind it. And it's not just, I just suck, basically.
Exactly.
Right?
It's not like something's wrong with you.
Yes. Right. Yes. It was life-changing. Oh, my brain. And then to learn how to work with my brain instead of against my brain. Because it's not, I mean, it does take work. It's not just like, oh, I got this diagnosis and, just because I am medicated. I don't know if you are, but I am medicated. And that was life-changing. That was completely life-changing for me. But I know for some women it's not. But the other work I had to do is the lifestyle stuff and the changing just my thought patterns about myself was so impactful. Just because I would be so self-depreciating. Right? Because it's like, I feel like an outsider. Why can't I do this? Why is it so overwhelming all the time? Why am I burnt out? Why, this is...
Why am I so exhausted?
Yes. And I'm seeing women around me and mothers around me that just seem to just, have it in the bag from my perspective. And then people would give me a hard time and be like, well, you're just looking on the outside. You don't know what's going on the inside. And it's like, no, there's something fundamentally different here. And I cannot put my finger on it. I am not crazy. There is something like this is affecting me in a way that looks very different than what it looked like in my friends.
Exactly.
Or family.
Exactly. No, totally. And things affect you differently.
Yes.
You start to see that. You start to see that with your friends who are more neurotypical, that they're affected differently and you're affected differently than they are. And it's because our brains are wired differently.
Yes. And there's no shame in that. And that's okay that you're born, with a slightly different wiring.
Exactly.
Than others.
I compared it in the book. Like it was, I don't know if this was good or bad, but in my book, I compared it to straight hair and curly hair.
No, I think that's great. Yeah.
Have you ever known anyone with like really curly hair?
Yes.
Like, do you have any girlfriends who have and it's such a pain in the butt?
Yes.
For them. So that's the whole thing. They cannot use brushes like you use, a hairbrush. They can't use hairbrushes like we use. They can't use the shampoos that we use. They can't use the same hair dryers. They have to use a diffuser, right? They have to use all of these different things for their hair, and because they have curly hair.
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy, and I think that's spot on too, because even the hygiene practices are different. Just because you can't even wash curly hair as frequently usually as straight hair.
You're not even supposed to wash it with shampoo. Yeah. You have to it's just like deep conditioning or something, and it's totally different. You're right. It's like every part of it is different. So kind of like that. Like we're wired differently. Some people have different kinds of hair that need different treatments, and we have different. Our brains are wired a bit differently, and we have to do things. It doesn't make us deficient, because ADHDers can be insanely successful, but we have to do things differently. We have to use the different, cleansers, and we have to use the different conditioners, and we have to use the, whatever the different products are. But it's not really a product. It's just a way of doing things. And then boom, we're set.
I do think there needs to be so much more education on this in the, doctor's offices, in the workplaces, and even in our own personal homes, and the way that we view people with ADHD. Because growing up, ADHD was bad parenting. That's what my parents, the attitude was, is it was that's a fake diagnosis. That's not even a real thing. And that's just bad parenting. And, it's like that. I feel like that still echoes throughout our society, even now.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. I hear people talk about how their attention span is short, and they're like, oh, it's just my ADHD, da 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 da. And I'm thinking, after I was diagnosed and everything, I was thinking, you cannot just say that, Because it is not the same thing. I mean, maybe you have ADHD, but maybe it's just because all of our media, over the decades are the clips of movies, the camera shots get shorter and shorter and shorter, and the stimuli become bigger and bigger and bigger. And so even if everybody's collective attention spans are shorter than they were 100 years ago, it doesn't mean that everybody has ADHD just because their attention span's a bit shorter. And so I think people sometimes can say, oh, I have a little ADHD, because their attention span's shorter. So, but maybe they don't really have it. And they're like, oh, well, why can't you get it together? I mean, you say you have ADHD. I think I do too, but it's just totally two different things.
It really is. And I feel like, Jay, it's such an important thing for people to realize, because ADHD has become almost mainstream talk. And
yeah,
it's great for business, right? But honestly, like it minimizes. It minimizes the I don't want to say struggle, because it's such an overused word, but it's a freaking struggle. And even someone like me that like knows how to manage it, and you guys probably know how to manage it in your way too, but like it's really hard. Mm-hmm. It's really, really hard. And for people who, get distracted easily, and our attention spans, like what you were saying, Jay, where it's like it's like everything's in sound bites now. There's such a gigantic influx of information, in our faces every hour. Like it's non-stop, and everything is you're constantly scrolling, and everything is constantly changing. And it's like we're creating like such a short attention span, and it's not ADHD. Yeah. That is not ADHD. Right. But and so when people say that, it's like it's nice, and it definitely does, alleviate some of the stigma around ADHD, because it's like less embarrassing for people to talk about, but it really minimizes what it feels like and what it is.
Yeah, that's well said. Because there was much more like shame might be a strong word, but like there was a lot more of that. I remember in the late 90s and early 2000s when I remember being in school. I wasn't diagnosed or anything, but I just remember that was kind of like the overall environment. And it doesn't seem like that's really there anymore, because it is more mainstream. But then it does feel like people that do have ADHD are not viewed as, oh, you're really having to adapt a lot. And I don't have to adapt as much as being a neurotypical person, possibly.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, they might see it like that. They might, but it's never like, people always think, that's why like, the ADHD medications are on, high alert, because everyone's, in college, they're like, I can't focus for these 90-minute lectures. I must have ADHD. So now they're on medication because they have to sit through these long lectures, and they don't necessarily have ADHD. It might just be unnatural for people to have to focus for 90 minutes straight.
Yeah, especially in the society that we live in today, because of the way that they've manufactured our attention spans to be so short.
Exactly. Yeah. How on earth do we stare at one person standing at the front of a room for an hour and a half? Like, who can do that? Yeah. And so it doesn't mean you have to go on medication. It does not mean you have ADHD. It means, we need to be learning a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we don't parallel that anywhere else outside the classroom, really, to just listen to somebody for 90 minutes, while doing nothing else.
For classes and for, meetings that go on way too long, you actually have to physically be sitting still, and you have to be like looking at the person. Like if there's somebody like standing up and doing jumping jacks in the middle of a lecture, they'll likely have to, be asked to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are some tips that you would have for women with ADHD that they can implement right now to help them with symptoms, or maybe women who suspect they have ADHD? Because some of these women aren't, diagnosed necessarily, but at least from my listeners pool, I know that a lot of people suspect it, but they don't have it officially diagnosed. So what are some tips that you could offer up?
I think the simplest thing is honestly getting rid of your to-do list.
Okay.
And because most of us have to-do lists that are like 50 items long. And do you?
Yeah, I know. This man does. Oh my gosh, he has a whole relationship with his to-do list.
Yeah, very love-hate.
Yeah. So it's very overwhelming. And when you look at it, it's just like all you want to do is the easiest thing. Number one is discouraging, because there's a lot on there, and you want to just do the easiest thing, which may not be the highest value thing you could do. So I have a saying that we teach all of our clients, which is keep it to 3 and you're free. So I recommend anybody who suspects they might have ADHD or just living in severe overwhelm to take your to-do list and cut it down to your top 3. Just 3. And that does not eliminate the other, 50,000 things on your list. It just means you're going to get to them after those 3 are done. And so you start to learn how to, and you eventually, your brain just automatically learns how to do it rather than just looking at like everything all at once, which is what we tend to do. You'll be able to see a smaller amount and it'll be much easier to focus on it and like focus on one at a time. If there's only 3 things there, you can actually, it's much easier to just be able to do those 3. 1, 2, then 3. That's it. And so like that's like a simple thing that people could do right away is just get rid of that ridiculous to-do list that's just very discouraging and overwhelming.
Yeah.
Can I get your opinion on something related to that?
Of course.
So I switched from using just my iPhone notes app with my to-do list because I would have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I would see them all at the same time. And I was like, this is too much. So I started using an app called Todoist, which it just shows me today's list.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that's better, but it still has like 8 things on it. So then, but it allows you to color coordinate red, orange, and blue. So I now do like my most important ones, which might be just 2 or 3 as red. And then I don't focus on orange or blue. I don't even look at them until the red's done. So I think
excellent. That's exactly, that's perfect. That's great. Now, for some people, they can't even see the orange and blue. They don't want to see it. It's not good to see it because, well, what about the orange? Wait, but what about the blue? So like, you're going to be thinking about it. You're going to be like, okay, I'm doing the red, but I'm still thinking about the orange and blue. Right. So if you just have it, if you only have like the red there and that's all you see, even though the orange and blue are on the next screen, it's visually more edible for a lot of our clients. It's like everything in your visual, your visual sphere has to be less.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should take that to heart.
I just did. So when we get to hop off this call, I'm going to explore my app a little bit.
Yes, that'll be helpful.
That's something anyone can do. Apps are interesting because I have a love-hate relationship with apps, as I think most of us do. But you have to go on the app to do all of these things. And for a lot of my clients, just going on the app is distracting. Because now you're on your phone. Now you're on your phone. And now that I'm on, like, does this ever happen to you where you're on your app and then you just go on to something else and now you've been on your phone literally staring at it for 25 minutes?
Yeah. That happens all the time.
All the time.
Okay, so that's why I really love, like, I know it sounds so old school, but I love old school because it's so raw and workable. And, when you write the things down, like you just like write like 2 things down on this pad of paper. I call it a parking lot in my book. So anything that a thought that flies in, I'll write it down. But my to-do list is never more than 2 things. Right.
Oh, you can have a thought list and a to-do list.
I do have a parking lot thought list because otherwise I could just get like dragged down rabbit holes for my thought list. But I mean, that wasn't actually a to-do list I just showed you. That was more like almost like a shopping list kind of thing. Mm-hmm, yeah. But I never have more than 2 things and it's on paper and I can't get lost or taken down rabbit holes on a notebook. Whereas when I'm on my phone, it's like a kryptonite.
Yeah.
like nonstop. Yeah. And so you just lose a lot of valuable time, especially in the mornings, which for a lot of us is a good time of day to get stuff done. And we're like staring at our phones, creating things on our different apps.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't use apps. I'm saying just be aware.
Yeah. Maybe there's some
alternatives. There's a couple things that you want to just write down.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's helpful.
That's good advice. Yeah. I am wondering if you can share with us any, like, how can the people in the lives of women with ADHD best support them? Like, if you had to give advice.
Number 1, just be gentle. Because the women with ADHD tend to be, like, I don't know anyone who isn't, so flippin' hard on themselves.
Yeah, we're the biggest critics.
That you never need to think that they're not already feeling, if something they did was incorrect or, not good enough or whatever, just know that they know it 100%, even if they're acting like they don't. They know it. And number two, if you're taking care of, like if it's a parent, right? If you're like a mom or a dad and you have a kid who has ADHD, keep things incredibly simple. Never give instructions that have like 4 steps. Give instructions that have 2 steps, 1 step at a time. First do this, then do this. Come back and I'll tell you the next steps. Otherwise, you're going to have somebody who's like, what did you tell me to do? And it's the same thing for adults too, not just kids. If you're in, if your spouse has ADHD, just never expect them. Just do not expect them to remember a 5-step anything that you ask them to do. Just don't. Just lose that expectation and know that they're superstars at the one thing at a time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's true. And we can adopt that for our own children. My kids can't do more than 2 at a time, ironically. Yeah. And that is what I see work out all the time. It's like that third thing so always.
Proof of concept.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but we have these expectations that everyone's like us, if I'm a neurotypical, then everyone, and then why can't you just do whatever, like what I can do? Yeah. No, we can't, but we're going to be freaking amazing at doing it our way, which is less is really more. So we do this for our clients all the time. We break everything down into small steps. And these people are like, in their 40s and 50s, and they've accomplished, a few good things, but not nearly as much as they want to. And by breaking everything down, first of all, it makes us nervous because it's like, well, how am I going to accomplish anything if you're making me do these really little steps? I'm never going to get what I want because I need it all yesterday or last month. But by breaking it down, we accomplish so much more than we could ever imagine. Like in 1 year, you're going to be in a completely different place if you start doing less at a time to just like 1 or 2 things and 1 or 2 things, and it builds, and you're just you will take off. I know that because that's how we do it with our clients. Like everything is like broken down and everyone gets nervous. Like I can't do such small things. I'm never going to amount to what I want. I'm never going to achieve what I want, but that's exactly how you achieve what you want.
That's great advice.
That is great advice. I'm personally curious. How does one become an ADHD coach?
You become an ADHD coach by coaching people who have ADHD.
Yeah.
And that's it. Whether you want to get certified or, apply to work for our company or, apply to, or just do your own thing, just do it your way in the way that you think works for people. So like we're pretty directive. We're happy to tell people what to do as long as they, agree that that's something they want to do. Right. Or
right.
If they want to, like amazing. And then we're going to help you do it. But we will tell you because we know how our moods dictate our reality.
I love that so much because that is so true. And that is exactly what I would want from a coach.
Right? That's what I would want too. Just somebody tell me what to do.
Yes, please. Tell me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. There you go.
We can go ahead and wrap this up. I really appreciate you being here. I had so much fun talking to you. And as a reminder, the book Invisible ADHD is coming out September 9th. And I will link. I love it. I also love the cover, the artwork, all of it. I will link in the show notes your website. And you're not on social media, right? Okay.
No, I know. I'm not crazy. I know.
No, I thought so. So I just wanted to verify that. So I will link that. Thank you so much. It was so great meeting you.
Yes.
And I'm going to continue reading your book and I'll share it with him.
Awesome. Yay. Yeah, you have to, for sure.
I hope for those of you listening, something was intriguing or sparked a curiosity or you felt affirmed or challenged. Stay educated. Take the pink pill. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a follow and maybe a nice review.